Listen, don't get me wrong. I am on no sides with no Utah Jazz fans. But they got to be the most unfortunate fan base in the league. In 1998, a Utah Jazz fan wakes up in the middle of summer trying to have a good day. And they watch the game, and Michael Jordan hits one of the most iconic shots ever on him. Michael Jordan literally ends any potential of them ever winning a championship. Now, look, in hindsight, it looks good. Michael Jordan kept Karl Malone, who's a weirdo, and John Stockton, who's a conservative, from winning a championship. But they didn't know this till this point. But then, just a couple of years later from that summer, in the early 2000s, Karl Malone gets called out as a pedophile. From a case dating back to 1983, Karl Malone was confirmed a pedophile. Although Malone was 20 years old at the time, he was impregnating a 13-year-old named Gloria Bell. That shit's just sad. If you're a Utah Jazz fan, the face of your franchise and one of your most beloved players growing up is now a pedophile, that gotta fucking suck. Not only that, Karl Malone, after impregnating the 13-year-old, he refused to pay child support. This is a millionaire. This is a man in the NBA, and he's refusing to pay child support. Now this whole stained legacy on Karl Malone is also now on you as a Utah Jazz fan base. And of course, Karl Malone, he didn't go to jail for statutory rape like what he did to that 13-year-old. So somehow this man is a criminal walking on your streets, playing for your basketball team. And shit, he's got one hell of a record behind him. But he's just not accused of anything. He got privilege. Years after the case went viral and, you know, he impregnated that 13-year-old, he tried to reach back out to that family and talk to the kid that he made with that 13-year-old. You know how low that is after not paying their child support, after just letting it go and not getting any punishment for statutory rape? You know how low that is? That's sickening, bruh. Okay, so about a decade passes of mediocrity. You get AK-47, some cool runs in there, Deron Williams, all that passes. And then all of a sudden, now you're the scapegoat of the NBA in 2020. Rudy Gobert gets COVID, and it shuts down the whole NBA season, and now all of the blame is on Rudy Gobert. Not only is this a terrible thing, but then the relationship between Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, it started to get worse. Donovan Mitchell said he wanted no part of Rudy Gobert when Rudy Gobert gave him COVID. So the Utah Jazz locker room is disgruntled. Mike Conley's not happy with the situation either. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell was very anti-Rudy Gobert at the time. And then they go back into the bubble and they play in the playoffs. In the first round, they get matched up against the Denver Nuggets, who was known as a very interesting playoff team. The year before, the Nuggets, they won their first round against the 7th seed, but they barely won it. And even though it was a very young team, people thought that the Nuggets were very easy to beat, considering they were so young and inexperienced. The Jazz roll into that series, and because of an amazing performance by Donovan Mitchell, they go up 3-1. And then shit hits the fan. The Jazz blow a 3-1 lead in the first round, and all of a sudden, they have no idea what they're doing. It looks like that team almost hit its ceiling right there, and it was a 3-1 lead blown, and now you need to give Rudy Gobert an extension. In that offseason, the Jazz do give Rudy Gobert that extension. In fact, they give him the Supermax. The Supermax. So Rudy Gobert now has an untradeable contract. What the hell is going to happen in the 2021 NBA season for the Utah Jazz? Luckily enough, the Utah Jazz get very fortunate. The 2021 season was filled with injuries, and barring injuries, they might have not even been a top 4 seed in their conference that year. However, though, they somehow eke out a first seed by just one game over the Phoenix Suns. So this is their year. It looks like the path to the Western Conference Finals is not that bad. You just came off a series where the Mavs pushed the Clippers to 7. You would think that they'd be tired, and shit, it's your series to lose. Well, the second round comes, and it looks pretty good for the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz jumped to a 2-0 lead thanks to Donovan Mitchell absolutely putting amazing performances out. In the first game, he had over 40 points. And in the second game, I'm pretty sure he had 37 points. And the Utah Jazz sealed home court advantage. And now they're going back to LA. In LA, they lose 2 straight. And that is not good at all. But that wasn't their biggest problem. The Utah Jazz eventually in that series saw Kawhi Leonard go down with an Achilles rupture. And all of a sudden, it's their series to lose, quite literally. They go back to Utah after losing those 2 games in LA. And they lose. All of a sudden, LA is up 3-2 in a series where the Utah Jazz should have easily won as they were beating them with Kawhi, and now without Kawhi, they can't even win a game. Game 6 comes around, and this shows the worst supermax in the NBA right now. Rudy Gobert literally let Terrence Mann dismantle their whole team. Terrence Mann drops 39 points, and well, yeah, there goes Rudy Gobert shit out of the ceiling. I think Terrence Mann hit 7 threes, and he had 39 points, and this was a role player that wasn't even getting that many minutes on a contender, and now he's coming up for Kawhi. So the Jazz lose the series. That was a big blow, as that was their best chance to make the NBA Finals. Next year, they're going to have to deal with a healthy Clippers. They couldn't even beat the hurt ones. They're going to have to deal with a healthy Denver Nuggets, a healthy Los Angeles Lakers, who were the defending champs this year. They have to deal with a much more stronger NBA. And shit, even the Brooklyn Nets, they'll be a lot healthier next year than they were this year. So all of a sudden, the Utah Jazz's chance of getting back to the finals is looking more and more bleak. And not only that, Rudy Gobert, the guy that sold you in game 5 and 6, he's on Supermax. Nobody in their right mind is trading for Rudy Gobert. He's on a Supermax contract to be a regular season player. And as a regular season player, don't get me wrong, he's a great regular season player. An amazing defender, solid pick and roll player. But he just falls off a cliff in the postseason. It doesn't make sense. And then basically right after the Utah Jazz series ended, John Stockton comes out as a conservative. Now look, there's no problem with people having political beliefs, but John Stockton says COVID is a hoax and he wouldn't ever wear a mask. That's weird. So now the two faces of your franchise are a pedophile and an anti-vaxxer. Alright, y'all, that's the video for the most unfortunate fan base in the NBA. Thank you for watching the video. Let me know your thoughts on the video, and yeah, make sure to subscribe.
Pull up on your block, ain't no nigga that I'm trusting. Run up for my team, too long, pull up with that bean. Yeah, I stay torn this thing. She said she needs some lean.